What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wrestling City, and today we're going to be reacting to a new video from WrestleMania, and this one is titled 10 Changes Vince McMahon Hates About New WWE. So, obviously, Triple H, he is, when he took over in, I think it was like mid 2022. I can't believe it's already almost been 3 years at this point. Crazy how time flies by. There's been a bunch of changes, for the better and some for the worse too, arguably. I'm assuming that most of this is going to do with the sponsorship deals that they have going on, any of the actual business, like behind the camera, backstage stuff. I wonder what's gonna show that's like, if anything's on camera that he hates, though. But yeah, let's go ahead and check it out.
Things Vince McMahon would hate about the new WWE. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Ring
Yep,
sponsors.
I knew
Now,
it.
in modern day WWE, the ring mats are filled with sponsors. At WrestleMania 41, there were more logos than clear canvas in the ring, and this has led to fans
That's
believing that
wild.
WWE have gone way too far with advertisements. The ring canvas was previously sacred in WWE, and it was Vince McMahon who strongly believed that sponsors being plastered on the ring canvas was a terrible idea. According to Kevin Nash on the Click This podcast, McMahon once turned down a lucrative sponsorship deal with Budweiser for pay-per-view events. McMahon was evidently protective of how the ring mat looked, and Michael Cole even stated that McMahon would have never allowed the WWE mat to look how it does currently.
I understand both sides of the, both sides of the coin. I understand that on one hand, you want it to stay like this sacred mat, have no sponsorships tarnishing, like being there the entire time. I mean, as we all know, that prime bottle in the middle of the ring is just so, it stands out so much, which is good for their business, but. But on the other hand, I can also understand the argument this is a business. When all is said and done, they're here to generate profit. And I get it, because at first I was like, it's like a UFC where they have all the advertisements, so I can get over that. But what annoys me is the fact that I expected this to be almost like a replacement so they could do less advertisements during the show, ad breaks, but that's not happening, as evidenced with recent shows. I mean, Saturday night's main event, it was like, what, after every minute or few minutes it would be an advertisement, like multiple times in between matches. So that has not changed, so I think that has been for the worst. I agree with Vince.
According to Cole, McMahon truly believed that the mat was sacred and no amount of money could influence him to change his mind. Number 9. 5-match PLEs. One of the most common trends of the Triple H era of WWE
For
is the
sure.
5-match card format for PLEs. Since taking over, Triple H has predominantly booked most shows outside of SummerSlam and WrestleMania to have only 5 matches. This has led to vast criticism from fans, as a lot of key matches are left off the show completely, and a strong portion of the show is filled with commercials and filler segments. This is no doubt a TKO call, and it will be the TKO executives who are putting together brand deals for PLEs, and when the show is planned out, the brand deals will naturally take priority.
I mean, I sort of agree that, like, I think I agree with Vince McMahon's vision. I think there's a good in between. Not everyone has to be multiple. Like, I think it was like TLC, I think 2019 had like something like, I think it was like 12 or 13 matches. We definitely do not need that for a regular 3-hour PLE or pay-per-view, because then all the matches, the quality just becomes so watered down. But the everyone being 5 matches, I also think some of them need to be a little bit more, maybe like 6 or 7 for the regular ones. Less advertisements
Vince
on them.
McMahon loved to vary his PLE match cards, with sometimes
Ooh.
some B-level events pushing 8 matches. Of course, certain events such as WrestleMania could go on for way too long, but McMahon was never guilty of leaving huge matches off PLE match cards, and he's always known to stack them to make sure they seem worthwhile. Number 8. Post-PLE press conferences. Whilst Vince McMahon experimented with post-event press conferences from time to time, they were always formatted in a certain way. They were always used to further storylines on the show and existed to get characters over. Unfortunately, this isn't the case in the TKO era. WWE holds a press conference for every major event, and they're often a confusing mess. Certain wrestlers appear completely in character, whilst other wrestlers completely break kayfabe. It's a complete amalgamation of kayfabe and
I like
reality,
it,
and it
man.
doesn't work in this kind of setting. If you want to present a sports type press conference, then commit to the idea and make sure that everyone is on the same page.
I'm sorry, I know I keep on pausing, but I'm going to disagree with that one fully. I think that the blending between the some people being in kayfabe, some people being real, I like that it adds that like real life dynamic that makes everything so much more like what's real, what's not real. I like that. And that's a perfect time to add to storylines without taking up TV time, you know? And we also get gems like Jey Uso being drunk. I mean, that's where we got most of the Yeet stuff. That's where that kind of not exactly originated from, but that's where it was really starting to gain some traction. And we get some explanations and development of characters after. So I disagree with that. I'm so glad they do these press conferences.
If McMahon saw wrestlers breaking kayfabe minutes after a key angle, he would lose his mind, and this is one of the things that fans continue to call out WWE for. One of the central parts of these press conferences is an appearance from Triple H. Without fail, every single time Triple H tells the media and fans how much money the event made, and how they broke the record books by delivering a lucrative gate. Fans simply don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear how much money the company is making, especially in an era where ticket prices are through the roof. It's a bizarre trend that McMahon instantly would put a stop to. Number 7. Commentary. Vince McMahon loved to micromanage his commentary teams into an oblivion. Numerous commentators quit WWE over McMahon's managerial style, and he was prone to scream at them into their headset and give them direct verbal instructions that they needed to follow 100%. Triple H and TKO have erased this entirely. The WWE commentary teams are given freedom to call the show.
It's so much better now.
This has completely transformed the way commentary is delivered. Michael Cole has a new lease of life, and he's even spoken about how happy he is working with Triple H. Cole isn't just happy in his role, he's having the time of his life. For years, Cole was shackled by McMahon, but the chains are truly off in this new era.
You can tell how much happier
this style of commentary, and McMahon would probably have a nervous breakdown if he could see Cole standing up and yeeting every Monday night. Number 6. Less live events. TKO took one look at the WWE business model and decided that live events should be vastly reduced. TKO believed that running talent into the ground and making them wrestle multiple times a week had little benefit to anyone, and it wasn't bringing in the financial rewards people would expect. In 2025, live events are virtually a thing of the past. WWE runs just a handful of live events per calendar year, and they tend to focus on big money international tours.
That makes sense, I get it.
Whilst this is great for the talent, the ticket prices for these events, particularly the international shows, are just insanely high. With that being said, most of these shows are selling out, so TKO's business model is clearly working. Vince McMahon was a strong believer in his established live event model. He would insist that live events occur every single weekend, and this led to talent being burnt out and injuries becoming more common. Let's face it, McMahon was a workaholic, and he lived and breathed WWE, and he definitely wanted this mindset for his talent.
I understand it because it's a time for them to gain some much needed experience. You know, those newer stars that are coming in, that's where they learn how to get their footing in the ring, get used to the WWE style of working. But yeah, I mean, I agree with live events being a thing of the past, or at least doing what they're doing now and making it a less common occurrence, maybe doing a handful of them per year. I think that makes total sense. And we all know with the internet that these live events, we know that nothing significant's going to happen. So I think that less people you have less incentive to go, you know? So save up for the ones that are actually on TV where you could see some more important stuff.
You would hope that McMahon would take a look at the way WWE has been operating, especially in terms of live events, and realize that this is the way forward. However, if McMahon was still running WWE without TKO's involvement, then it's likely that archaic live event schedules would remain in place.
Yeah,
Number 5,
probably.
Production changes. Vince McMahon was very much stuck in his ways when it came to the WWE's production style. The WWE presentation always looked the same. They would use the same camera angles and everything would be formulaic in nature. This was mainly down to McMahon and Kevin Dunn, as these two names didn't believe that any change was needed, despite fans crying out for WWE to evolve the way the shows looked. It was common under Vince McMahon for one single angle or moment to have a dozen camera cuts, whereas the new era, continuous long shots are common, and WWE aren't afraid to try something new and unique. This was one of the main focuses of Triple H, and he's realized that the show needed to evolve, and with Raw being on Netflix, the old way of presenting the flagship show would have looked dated and obsolete. McMahon loved grand and scale when it came to certain elements of the WWE presentation. Whilst he was definitely moving away from things such as eccentric stages during his final few years in charge, He always knew the importance of making a show stand out in terms of staging and graphics. This
Yep.
sadly isn't the case anymore. Every single show outside of WrestleMania looks
It's the
exactly the
same.
same, and WWE now even changes the staging around to accommodate more fans. The goal for WWE and TKO is strictly dollars and cents. Outside of shows such as WrestleMania, the way the show looks in terms of staging is virtually a non-factor, and
Yeah,
TKO
it's
would probably
sad.
remove the stage entirely and just use a lazy black curtain if it meant that they could cram in more fans into the arena. Number 4. Theme songs. A former WWE chairman, Vince McMahon,
Yep.
often took a hands-on approach with WWE theme songs. McMahon often cared deeply about the first impression, and if a theme song wasn't working, he knew it needed to change. There have been countless stories over the years of McMahon insisting that WWE got a specific theme song just right. Even when Jim Johnson stopped working with WWE, McMahon was still putting considerable effort into making sure the themes worked for each respective talent. Unfortunately, the current theme songs on WWE programming have resulted in scathing feedback from fans.
Terrible
Virtually all theme songs
themes.
produced by Death Rebels sound exactly the same, and outside of licensed songs or songs produced for the main eventers, none of the songs manage to stand out.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what's going to be left on the list, but I think this is arguably the one that bugs me the most. I mean, we really don't appreciate how, sometimes we don't appreciate how good we had it back then. Because even with the last one, which was CFO, people, I remember at this time, I was still in IGWC at the time, on, Instagram wrestling community. And people on there were clowning on CFO, saying they could not hold a candle to Jim Johnson, and that's a fair point. But at the same time, to say that they're terrible when they had like what Seth Rollins song, they had Roman Reigns song, Ambrose. I personally liked Sheamus's new song. I know a lot of people didn't, but they had some occasional bangers. Def Rebel is just truly bottom of the barrel trash music. Every single time it's so generic that you have to add some sort of thing to the beginning, like role model, or doesn't it, it's like DIY, New Catch Republic. They have to say their name at the beginning, because besides that, you wouldn't even know. And that's a good indicator at the Royal Rumble. When people's music hit before they came out, there was no pop because people didn't know who was coming out based off the music. Um, Really sad how that's changed. I really hope once this deal with Def Rebel ends, which obviously I don't know when, hopefully we get some better themes soon, because this is just terrible time for theme songs.
WWE and TKO don't seem to care about the theme songs, as there's no love or passion in any of the tracks. They just seem randomly assigned just so every wrestler has their own theme. It's sheer laziness, and there's zero excuse as to why the theme songs have shown little to no improvement despite years of fans complaining. Number 3. Banned words. Vince McMahon was prone to making his talent stick to set rules and regulations. This was definitely the case when it came to certain words. McMahon wouldn't allow his wrestlers or commentators to say certain words, and if they did utter these infamous words, then McMahon would often be enraged. These banned words range from wrestling to belt, and most of the words stem from McMahon's bizarre ideology that distancing WWE from being a wrestling company was going to be appealing to more fans. When
Yeah, you
Triple H
couldn't
took
say
over creative,
wrestling.
these banned
That's
words would be
crazy.
removed entirely. Wrestling is mentioned multiple times in a single show, and the talent are no longer walking on eggshells when it comes to the words that come out of their mouths. Number 2. Breaking Kayfabe. There's no doubt that even in the old era of WWE, Vince McMahon liked to break kayfabe from time to time. In fact, he basically ushered in the Attitude Era back in 1997 by a
Yep.
kayfabe-shattering promo that rocked the pro wrestling industry. However, in 2025, breaking kayfabe has never been more common in WWE, and it occurs virtually every week. WWE are obsessed with reminding fans that the show is a scripted presentation, and what they're seeing is totally fictional. This was seen on the Raw and the Netflix premiere, as the opening video package saw Triple H talk about work shoots and even baby faces and heels. Wrestlers such as The Rock break kayfabe minutes after the show, and it's a weird business direction that has left fans puzzled. This obsession with reminding fans that the product is scripted has zero benefit. It's not increasing revenue in any way, it's not introducing new fans to the product. All it's doing is causing controversy and making established fans realize that maybe WWE and TKO are ashamed that they present a
I think
scripted
it's
product. And
unavoidable
number
now.
1. The higher power. A Triple H runs WWE creative, but he still takes executive orders from names in TKO. The idea of Vince McMahon running WWE whilst taking orders from names in TKO is crazy to even think about. Especially in the final few years of McMahon in charge, a lot of his ideas were outlandish in nature, And the way he ran the product led to fans
Oh,
leaving the product behind and the talent being disgruntled and unhappy. TKO simply wouldn't have allowed McMahon to operate in this way, and McMahon would have had a meltdown if TKO was trying to control how he was operating in any way, shape, or form. Earlier this year, The Rock revealed that Ari Emanuel, who acts as the director of TKO, phoned him and asked him to help boost ticket sales for Elimination
that is
Chamber.
crazy
If
when you think
McMahon found
about
out that a
it.
director had gone directly to a board member and a former WWE star at that to ask for assistance in this capacity, he would have been livid. Ultimately, it would have taken a matter of months for the relationship between McMahon and TKO to fall apart. McMahon would have likely put on a brave face, but he would have been either forced out of his role or he would have had to walk away. Knowing what we know about McMahon, the latter seems extremely unlikely, and we still may have ended up with Triple H running WWE Creative just a little later than originally intended. But there you have it, folks. 10 things Vince.
Okay, yeah, so there are 10 changes Vince McMahon hates about the new WWE. And so while a lot of people online, obviously it's millions of fans, so you're going to have some people that are going to complain no matter what. And while I agree that right now is one of the worst times in wrestling that I have seen in quite some time, but nothing tops 2019 or 2018, just the dark times of Vince McMahon's booking. And so while some changes are bad, like the sponsorships, just making everything a lot more about solely making more profit, some things I'm so glad they changed. Like we had a wrestling show and the term wrestling was like a no-no word. You couldn't say belt because a belt's what holds up your pants, pal. So you couldn't say stuff like that. So I'm glad they change that. And also but the stage designs, the theme songs, yeah, I'm hoping they end up changing that again soon. So yeah, great video. I will put the link to the original video in the description. So if you want to still check that out, maybe go back and look at a few things, go ahead and do that. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like, comment below what change you enjoyed or disliked the most, and don't forget to subscribe to the greatest city in the world, Wrestling City. And that's about it. I will see y'all next time. Peace.